Well, let's look at the wider issues with the news analyst, Dr. Warwick Onyeama. Dr. Onyeama, thank you very much indeed for coming in. This is really all about corruption, some people say. Is that how you read it?
No, it isn't. I think there is special interest groups doing the dirty, and particularly the wholesalers, the petroleum wholesalers. Because what they're asking for is the difference between the world market price and the subsidized price in which it's sold at the pump. They want that difference, and that in Nigeria who wholesale and then can hold the government to ransom very easily.
As we have clearly seen.
What they're doing now. Absolutely, yeah.
No, it really is amazing, isn't it, that the government has tried on innumerable occasions to get rid of the subsidy, recognizing that it's not benefiting the generality of Nigerian people, but a specific cabal, and somehow they've failed.
I think the thing here is, let's go back some years. There was an attempt to remove the subsidy before. And the entire sort of metropolitan population rioted because they couldn't afford the market price. It brought things to a standstill.
But now they're actually paying that market price. Which is far higher than the 87 naira per litre that it should be at with the fuel subsidy. So claims that the fuel is being subsidized to the tune of billions of dollars a year are simply not true. And to many Nigerians, it positively reeks of corruption.
I'm sure there's a corrupt element to it. I mean, the thing about Nigeria is that powerful people are powerful because they're corrupt. It's almost as if the two things go together.
Now, the other issue, of course, is how is it, in the face of this crippling petrol sellers, and I can tell you this because I just got back from Nigeria a week and a half ago. I mean, the shortage had already started in Abuja. Illegal roadside petrol sellers appear to have constant are empty.
Yes, that doesn't come as a surprise to me at all. You see, basically what happens is money changes hands. These roadside sellers pay the authorities to look the other way while they carry on their business. You see, in Nigeria, everything can be done for money. All you have to do is to know who to pay, and nobody will get in your way.
Everything in Nigeria for a fee in Nigeria.
For a price.
So yes. Is it going to change with the new government coming in? Are you one of those who has confidence in General Buhari?
Well, it's not even General Buhari. It would take a miracle. These are behaviors that are almost genetically ingrained. They're in our DNA. And I can't see Buhari changing the national mindset. I can't even see him doing it even in 2 terms.
Well, he managed to do it in 1984.
Did he really? Did he really? Or did he just change the superficial appearance of things with weekend cleanups and all that sort of stuff? I remember this because I was there at the time.
Now he's going to be there hopefully for 4 years, which gives him a better chance of doing a better job.
It gives him the chance, but will he be motivated when he sees the obstacles he's going to have to overcome?
Well, he must be aware of them by now.
He may not be. You know, he may not realize the powerful people, many of whom vote to put him where he is now, who will be opposing him.
In other words, that he will have to make compromises because we're now in a democratic dispensation and not a dictatorial one.
He will have to make compromises because the people that hold the cash register in their hands are not going to cede control just by being asked to do so.
The other thing, of course, that people have said is that, yes, that may be what he encounters when he gets in, but he's going to shape and mold the party and the administration to his image, which is going to, I mean, all heads of state have done that. You know, General Obasanjo did it, particularly those with military backgrounds, that he is a general and he's going to reshape and remold, if you like, the constitution of the government and the party to his image, to do the things that he wants them to do. What do you reckon?
He will certainly mold the constitution, and he will change the letter of the law, if you like, but actually changing the mindset mindset and the habits of people and the way they practice and the way they make their money, I can't see him doing it.
Well, joining me one last time is the news analyst, Dr. Warwick Onyeama. Warwick, thanks for staying with us. What's the significance of Africa Day, do you think?
I think it's to commemorate the time roughly 50 years ago when the independent African nations decided to form an all-embracing organization called the OAU, the Organization of African Unity. And the idea was to underpin cooperation between independent African states.
And of course the mood was very different.
Oh, very different.
Tremendous optimism.
Absolutely right, yes. Well, it hasn't held up, has it?
Well, only 6 countries have declared Africa Day as a holiday. How do you think this day can be taken more seriously, or do you think it should be taken more seriously?
I think Africa would have to change very substantially, both in terms of its leadership and in terms of its cultural history, which at the moment is things just don't work in most black African countries. And you hear corruption is rife, and all the sort of, you know, lamentations that arise, and civil wars, and, you know, refugees in their millions. That's all got to change.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it's not just Africa. I mean, we celebrate the United Nations, we celebrate Europe. I mean, Europe has had conflicts up until recently. So why should Africa not mark a day when it started to think in a positive direction of bringing everybody together, uniting them and moving forward?
What purpose does it serve? I mean, what does it actually do to improve the way African countries function?
Well, isn't it that sense of unity, certainly, that you're beginning to think as a sort of cohesive unit, that we're all linked together, and therefore, you know, we should start working in our own interest? Because it's not just about political or social unity, it's also economic unity. Trading with each other, you know, more economic cooperation and that sort of thing.
I think that in terms of regions, like you have the West African ECOWAS, the regional cooperation in trade is something that's possible. I think continent-wide, I think it's way in the future yet.
So you don't really agree with this theme that says, for this year, we are Africa. Well, what does it mean to you when you hear that?
Well, I would ask what it means to the average African in their individual countries if they were asked, what does this mean to you? This is Africa Day. I think they'd look at you askance. They wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Right. So what do you think is the status of African unity as a concept? Do you think they've evolved on a positive trajectory since the OAU? I mean, it may not be clearly perfect, but do you think they've moved forward?
No, I don't. If anything, I think they've rather moved backwards, because apart from it, look at the number of conflicts in which the African Union is making absolutely no difference and having no impact whatsoever.
Yeah, but think of the ones that they have made a difference. I mean, they intervened in Liberia and they solved the Liberian problem. They intervened in Sierra Leone and they solved the Sierra Leonean problem. They've helped the Somali government appear to be gaining the upper hand over al-Shabaab. That's progress, isn't it, Warwick?
Is it? I'm not even sure that that's actually what happened. You see, when you talk about Liberia and Sierra Leone, individual countries sent in troops. There was a great deal of difficulty uniting them under a common African command. There was a great deal of difference, for instance, between the Ghanaian command in Liberia and the Nigerian troops that formed the bulk.
Well, it can't all be perfect, can it, Warwick?
It has to work, and at the moment I don't even think it works. I mean, you know, there was a point at which the African troops, or the African Union troops, were seen as more of a problem than the conflict that existed in the first place.
So, on that pessimistic note, I'd like to say, Dr. Warwick Onyeama, your analysis is always appreciated. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Brilliant stuff.
Yes, thank you.